I think Sony has had a pretty good run of everything, to be honest with you. They get everything handed to them, and now it's kind of starting to all fall apart. And I think that it comes at a time when Microsoft is getting everything together. We could be looking at what I be considered a evolution of Xbox, so to speak, where Microsoft has some incredible things to showcase their platform, and Sony is kind of, I guess, lying. Like, when you are a company, and trust me, I get it, all these companies lie to us at various times, but I think that what's happening right now is Sony's lies are catching up to them at a particular time when they definitely didn't need it. And Microsoft has a lot of cool stuff going on, which is really, really interesting, to say the least. So Microsoft has this really good announcement. They're fighting the CMA today, though, and I believe, according to all the experts, that really went extremely well for Xbox. Right? Like, I guess the CMA had no real argument. They want to drag this thing out because they think it'll make the deal fall apart. The judge was really kind of siding with Microsoft through that. But aside from that, South Korea also approved the Activision Blizzard acquisition, unconditionally cleared it, by the way. The Korean Fair Trade Commission says it unconditionally cleared the deal, saying it has no concerns about the potential restriction of competition if Blizzard games are made exclusive. They explained that in terms of South Korea specifically, the popularity of Activision Blizzard games is fairly low, and as such, their importance to platform holders isn't important in the region. That combined market share of games developed and distributed by Microsoft and Blizzard is small. The popularity of Blizzard's major games in Korea is not as high as overseas, and there are a number of popular game developers that competitors can deal with alternatively, so there's no possibility of foreclosure to exclude competing game service companies, according to their statement. Even in the event of a blockade, the effect of converting competitors' consumers to its subscriber service is minimal due to the low popularity of Blizzard games, and competitors have a significant market share, so there's no risk of exclusion. They pointed out that it held discussions with the equivalent competition authority in other countries to get their views on the deal, but noted that their decision may differ because Activision Blizzard games are more important in those regions. So, again, we see that the deal is passing in all these different areas. And it's so funny to me that billions and billions of gamers, and there's billions of gamers that this has passed in, and then the CMA holdup is they're doing it to protect people worldwide, when in fact they're only supposed to be worried about their own area, and the worldwide, they've all passed it. Right? I mean, there is the FTC that is trying to block it, but that's going to fall apart rather quickly. So you have this, and then you combine this with the fact that Sony today announced that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is actually going to PC. Now, listen, this was something I mentioned a while ago. I was like, well, I started to feel that maybe Sony were selling us on, like, buying a bridge or whatever with that PS5 solid state drive. Now, it's fast, and obviously, you figure, well, games are going to load fast, and, that's going to be cool or whatever. But at the end of the day, we were promised more than that. We were promised, worlds, everything would be better because of this solid state drive, and literally, they said, only possible with the PS5 solid state drive. So again, you think, okay, that's really cool. We got this one up. Even it was a one up on PC, actually, because PC gamers have no requirement for that. It's one of the things I like about console is it's pretty much a static platform where everything is uniform across there, right? So I like that. So when you look at this and you see, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart's dimensional rifts only possible on the PS5 solid state drives, then today it's announced that it's coming to PC. Now, again, they haven't necessarily made a spec requirement, but there's only one game in all of PC that I could find that requires a solid state drive, and this one is not going to be one of them because they're going to want people to actually be able to play it. So you can imagine that probably the amount of gamers that actually have a solid state drive on par with the PS5 is probably pretty low overall. I'm sure most people have some kind of solid state drive. I even have one in mine, but it's nowhere near what like the PS5 is. So if they're not requiring a solid state drive that fast in there, what's the deal? Some people pointed to VRAM, some people said this, some people said that. But I mean, wouldn't requiring 30 plus gigs of RAM, isn't that just as bad as requiring a solid state drive? Like, I would think it would be cheaper in most cases to just have a solid state drive. So either way, if you say something is only, my point is, no matter what happens, if they're not forcing you to get this game and play it with a solid state drive that's as fast as the PlayStation 5's, then they lied. That's it. That's all. I don't care about how they do it or anything like that. If you make a claim that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart's Dimension Rift's only possible with PS5 solid-state drives, and you don't require a solid-state drive, there's no ifs, there's no buts, there's no coconuts, there's no nothing. That's it. You lied to the fans, and that's the end of the story. I don't care how they do it, or because it's different, or this or that, then say it. Then say, yeah, if it comes to PC, we'd be able to work around that because so-and-so, right? That's my point. Like, the Sony's lies are starting to kind of come home to roost, so to speak, and we're seeing that a little bit more and more now. And I gotta say, it's interesting to see people's reactions to this, because you bring this up, and it's easy to find these quotes, right? There's a million of them about how the solid state drive is, such a game changer and things like that. And when you see that, you sort of go, well, now look at this. It's sort of weird because, the way that Sony is doing this is putting their games on PC without that requirement. And people pointed to Returnal or whatever and go, oh, well, it really needed a lot of RAM, blah, blah, blah. That's irrelevant to me. Nobody ever hyped that game as needing, that. I look at that game as being pretty much poorly optimized in the grand scheme of things. But you couple together like the lies that's going on and the fact that the CMA stuff is looking better and better all the time with Xbox, and I think we're starting to see a very, very good thing happen for Microsoft, and I can't wait to see where this goes, because at the end of the day, Microsoft has shown a lot of kind of gumption, I guess, and a lot of guts to go out there and take on everything that they're taking on right now. And when you see Sony having out this lackluster stuff, and they're having success with doing things half-assed, in my opinion, right? Like, The Last of Us Part 1 port, that was horrible, and people don't really throw that in their face, or that their not E3 showcase was absolutely horrendous, and people just, they go, oh well, I was disappointed, and then they move on, and then let me hype up this other game that I was going to get, or what have you. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense that this kind of stuff happens the way that it does, and the way that fans sort of react and people kind of react to all this stuff. I am disappointed that more fans don't hold them out and call them out about all this, because I think it's nonsense, and I think that at the end of the day, Microsoft has done less things, less egregious things for sure. And at the end of the day, it's funny to see that Microsoft would get hate for saying something like this, and then having it be the situation. But Microsoft has been putting their stuff day and date on PC for the longest time anyway, so that wouldn't happen. But it is interesting to see how everybody sort of reacts to this, though. You know what I mean? Because so far, all the reactions have been, just fine and dandy, and I'm just sitting there kind of looking at it going, fine and dandy, man, that's crazy. That people think that this is just fine and dandy. Nobody seems to care. So anyway, I'm curious to hear what everyone else thinks about it. Please let me know. I hope you all have a great day. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.